there, my crafty friends. It's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF. This month for the Global Stampin Video Hop, we are doing DIY Christmas, and I had something completely different planned for you, but I felt like it was too simple. I was going to make this adorable little tag for you, but it's just too simple. So I will show this in something else. I just thought it was so pretty, especially with those rhinestones on there, right? So stay tuned for that. But I decided I'm going to share a little gift. So easy, so inexpensive. You're going to want to make tons of these. This is a project that I shared in the Fab and Festive Retreat. I partner with 2 other demonstrators, and we each did 4 or 5 projects. There are 16 altogether. So this was my 3D. So let me show you how we are going to make that. I am going to switch it up and get a load of this. I forgot to put a thumb notch in this, so remind me if I forget. You can punch these little circles of DSP. Now, you can't burn the candle with this on because I think it's probably a fire hazard, but look how cute. So instead of peppermint, which was the theme of our retreat, I am going to use some of the beautiful Whimsy and Wonder DSP. This is going to decide my color selection. This is going to be the DSP that I use. Maybe this and some of the beautiful mint macaron, which is my favorite. And instead of basic white, I am going to use shimmery white. And there we go. You can see a little bit, right? So I do recommend a thick cardstock. And while this isn't basic white thick, I thought it would be beautiful. Okay, so this is the basis. And instead of the frosted gingerbread, we're going to use Merriest Moments because I have not used this enough and I have an idea. So let's see. Stay tuned because I'm totally switching this on the fly. So all of the dimensions will be in the description below because I'm bound to mess this up as I'm saying it. But my mint macaron piece, which was real red in my first version, is 5 1/16 by 5 1/16. So that is just 1 tick past the 5-inch mark. Now we are going to score this on all 4 sides at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. So I like to do both on one side and then flip it. So, and you could use a simply scored if you don't have the paper trimmer, if you prefer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up to this second score line. So here's the first, here's the second. So I'm going to, on this side, cut here. And you know what? I'm just going to use my scissors right here. So I'm going to cut up to that first line. I'll just cut straight this time. And then we're going to cut up to the second one. And then we're going to miter that, because if you're new to making boxes, mitering it gives you a nice finished product where you don't have a whole bunch of bulk in the corner. Okay, so I'm going to miter these tabs. And for this box, because I have made it before, I will try to remember to link to the first time I made this box. We're going to miter all of this piece. Okay, so like I was saying, squirrel, I like to work in a circle, so I'm not going to have the tabs here, 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 and here. Each side is going to have a tab. Now, technically, we could just miter that right then and there, right? To cut up there. Cut that tab off. Miter, miter. Okay, so now that we have that one done, I'm going to show you a faster way to do it so that we're just mitering as we cut. Okay, so miter. I'm going to take that corner out. Take out a little piece of pizza. Miter off. And miter. Might want to miter a bit more there, but we shall see. Now, the reason that this box is a little bit different and one of my favorites is that it's reinforced. So if, because we're going to be opening it and closing it, I'm telling you, if you get this as a gift, you're going to be opening and closing it, opening and closing it. You want it to be strong. So hence the reinforced part. Now, for the shimmery white, we're not going to score this yet. We're going to do all of our stamping first and then score it, because if we score it now, we're going to end up with little spots that don't stamp properly because of the score line. So let's do it right. Okay, so we're going to fold and burnish all these score lines. And I need to punch my thumb notch because I forget it 99.9% of the time. And once you've got it together, you can't punch it. So I'm going to grab my 1/2 inch punch. Let's make that 3/4 inch punch. And I'm going to decide that this is where my notch is going to go. You could put one on both sides. Just going to eyeball it here in the center, and you're only going to go about 1/4 of the way in. There we go. I'm sorry, that probably popped up right in your face. Okay, don't forget that part. I forget it every time. So now all we need to do is put some glue on those tabs. And if you feel comfortable doing one at a time, go ahead. If you feel comfortable doing more than one at a time, go ahead. Now you can see I've got a little bit of extra glue there. It's not the end of the world. I can just wipe it away. And liquid glue does take a few seconds to set, so you're just going to want to stand there and hold it, or, well, maybe not stand. Maybe you're sitting. I'm standing. If you don't want to have to wait for that setting time, I can tell you right now that is too much, then you can use clothespins or some kind of clips to keep it closed. While I'm holding that, I'm going to go get a wipe for this. If you would prefer to use tear and tape, go ahead and use whatever adhesive you are comfortable with. I like liquid glue for boxes because it is permanent, but it's also a test of your patience. Just stand there and wait for it to dry. Okay, and when you're confident that those are set, then you can go ahead and start adding adhesive to the back of these pieces, and that will help to keep your tabs in place. And I haven't decided yet if I'm just going to do holly or if I want to add in those poinsettias, but either way, we are going to use Blushing Bride and Mint Macaron as our colors. Now, I'm kind of thinking that it might be nice to have a dark little pop somewhere in there. So I'm going to bring in Real Red to accompany the Blushing Bride. And for Mint Macaron, what shall I use? I'm thinking just jade might be just nice, right? Same kind of greens. We'll test it. I won't do it on here. I'll do it on a piece of grid paper. Now, that being said, you can use sponge daubers. You can do however you want to apply that ink to your stamp. You do that. I'm going to do a little bit of testing on my grid paper. So let's get out this poinsettia because that's what I'm thinking for the pink and the red. And these little berries too, right? Because we definitely need some holly. And then there are 3 holly leaves. There's a sprig that we could use Mossy Meadow on, but I don't think I want that. I think I want to stick with just the holly because this. So what you can do is for the Blushing Bride, you can ink it right up in there. And then for the Real Red, just add a little bit in the middle. And if you'd like to soften it, come back in with the Blushing Bride. I'm not sure why that was so hard to say this time. And beautiful, isn't it? Now it could go a little darker in the middle. And this is the smaller of the 2 flowers. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. Stamping right on the cardstock now. Pretty. Not perfect, but just a little something different, right? So I am going to speed through this process. You'll see everything I do, but a little bit faster so that this doesn't take forever. I wish I had a Blushing Bride Stampin' Blend because I love the way splatter looks with a blend, but I'm just going to add a little bit of Blushing Bride. I feel like real red splatter would be too much. Kind of ties it all together. Okay. You know what? Let me show you a little bit of mint, because I feel like I've said it now, you need to know. So this is my mint, my dark mint macaron. Do you see that? And it's such a subtle splatter, like this will settle into your cardstock, and it's just so different than using a Stampin' Right marker. Love it. It's very easy to go overboard though. Don't go overboard. I feel like now I want some Just Jade too. I'm totally gonna overdo this. Tell me to stop. We'll just do a couple splatters of Just Jade. Do you ever do that one last thing and you're like, oh, why did I do that? I've ruined it. Again, just cardstock and just plain. Clean up a little bit of this so I don't get ink in everything. I will put my stamps and sponge daubers away later, but open ink pads, especially open red ink pads, not a good idea. Okay, so clean that up later. Move those. Now we can do our scoring. So on our shimmery white cardstock that we've just done all of our stamping, inking, splatter work of art, we are going to score this at a 1/2 inch, and I always like to work, on the right of the blade when I'm doing such a small area, and then I'll turn it around. I'm going to 3 5/8, 4 1/8, and 7 1/4. So one more time, those measurements are 1/2 inch, 3 5/8 of an inch, 4 1/8, and 7 1/4. Now, because I stamped this all together, you're going to notice there's no gap. My stamping is uniform, it's continuous, there's no little jogs because I waited to get it all done. I wish we had shimmer spray still. I think that would look tremendous. Now, the one thing I am going to do that I know is a little bit extra, but remember I said I didn't like those berries? I'm going to come in with my dark Real Red Stampin' Blend and just darken them up because I don't like that I can see through them right now. Whoopsie. Went outside the line. Now this likely will show through to the other side. The other thing you could do is you could bring in your light and dark and do some shading, but I'm not going to be that extra. Just a little extra. Just so that we can't see the holly through the berries. Okay, so a little bit of ink on the inside. No big deal. So now we are going to use our HIPPO and Friends dies, we're going to decide which side we like as the top. So what I'm going to do is, this is the size of the die that I used on my first one. It's the smallest of the three. Now you can see that it's a good size window. If I push this down, you can even see the DSP on those candles. Usually I think we see it used this way. I'm going to turn it on its side and do it that way. I think I'm going to do this side because there's so much open space there. So I like to just use some low tack tape. Tape that down so that it doesn't move when I go to die cut it. I want to eyeball it to make sure that I've got about the same amount on either side, which is about a finger width. Usually I would just eyeball it, but you can see I did a little different. So I'm going to cut that. We'll get a piece of vellum and we're almost done. So regardless of the pattern, the DSP, whatever you choose, I would suggest cardstock for this, not DSP. It's the same process. You're going to go through the same steps. It's just which stamp set are you going to use. For our piece of vellum, we want it to be 2.5 by 2.5. I'm just going to use my favorite paper cutter, my little guillotine. And I'm just going to put some liquid glue around the opening. Whoa, you don't want too much. Push it down, and I find that if I use my finger to push that glue in, I can't see it. It becomes completely invisible. Now you don't want it popping out there. Of course, I get the green part of the wipe. But if you push it in, it becomes invisible. Now you can see my green ink there, but it's not visible from the outside. We're good. We're okay. So now what we're going to do is we've got our box together. I'm going to grab some candles. I just bought some white candles from Dollarama. I'm in Canada, by the way. I don't think I said that. And I got 32 for how much? $2.50. 32 of them. You may be able to get them cheaper, but I was there, saw them, have a couple of ideas for candle gifts, so I got them. You might find them cheaper at IKEA, or I don't know. I'm not here to find candle deals. I'm here to give you some inspiration on what to do with said candles. Okay, so we need 4 of them. These ones are unscented, but I mean, how cool would that be with peppermint tea lights? The ones I have in there, funny story, because I had this idea and it was supposed to be peppermint. Mine are actually vanilla chai or pumpkin chai, some kind of chai. And I didn't want the yellowy tone to show, so I'm like, ooh, what am I going to do? And then I came across an idea on Pinterest that covered them, so I'm like, perfect! No one would know that they're not white and pepperminty. And then we also need, I think it's a 1/8 hole punch, because we need to be able to punch for the wick. So like I said, I am going to use this paper. I think we're just going to do the same for all 4 of them. So just punch yourself, or die cut. Don't punch yourself, don't do that. Punch out 4 circles or die cut 4 circles. It's 1.5 inches. I should have been more strategic so I had more holly, but okay. And now I am just going to eyeball this. If it doesn't make it right in the center, that is a-okay. So now lift that wick up, put it down. You can push it back down. And isn't it beautiful? Now, if you wanted yours to be completely centered, you could punch a 1.5 inch circle, fold it in half again, and that would show you your center, and then just use that as a template. But like I said, I am okay with eyeballing. So doesn't it look so pretty? Something that was so cheap. And now the key, thumb notch on the outside, but the key to this working just perfectly is not to put the belly band on until you have the box in there. These candles are a little bit taller than the ones that I got from Dollar Tree. It'll still work. But instead of trying to make the box fit in the belly band, make the belly band fit around the box. I don't love how that is a different height. So we'll have to make a tiny bit of a deeper box for these. I'm actually designing a new candle holder for these ones. These are going to be gifts. So let's take some beautiful vanillas. And like I said, these are Dollar Tree. Let me show you the difference. So not a huge difference, but enough to make it pop up. And I don't like it. Now, again, you can choose tear and tape, you can choose Stampin' Seal Plus. I am going to use good old liquid glue. Don't put too much, you don't want it coming right out. I am loving this color scheme together. Now, you also want to be aware that you don't make it too tight so that this wrap never comes off again. Push it down, give it some time to set. So pretty. Not sure I love the DSP with this, but I mean, we're playing, right? Okay, so we want some ribbon on here. We also want our sentiment. Now, I just realized I was planning on stamping that right in there. So I think what I'm going to do is change my stamp set. I had the best class ideas for this and just haven't gotten to it. So it's not too late, but close. So I think because these are candles, we're going to use Sparkle of the Season, and we'll use May the Sparkle of the Season warm your heart and home. So it's not specifically Christmas. And I think this is the most used stamp out of this one. I don't even know if I've used any other stamps in this one, but I have used this one a few times. I've got Santa's Workshop class actually that's coming out soon that I used this sentiment on, and oh, love it. Okay, so we need a tag. I have got a piece of the shimmery white because this isn't really white, right? Let's be honest, it's not white. Let's use Just Jade. It would also be beautiful if you heat embossed it, but I feel like this video has already gone on far longer than it needed to. We're going to do that. I'm going to die cut it. Stops here. I am going to use this stitched label die from the Pillow Box Dies. You see it? And then we will attach that. I think I'm just going to do like I did here. We'll wrap some ribbon around and then I'll pop that sentiment up. So BRB. Isn't it beautiful? It's like they were made to go together and they weren't. Match made in heaven though. Okay, and the reason I didn't use something from the Merriest Moments is the only thing that would really fit is the Season's Greetings. And while that would work, I wanted something that referred to the light in this bundle. So what about that one? It's blingy, but you know what? I like it this time. It is part of the Blackberry Beauty suite of products. We're just going to tie a nice little bow. Well, we're going to tie a bow. I may not be able to control if it looks nice or not. I mean, I am a paper crafter, but sometimes the ribbon just has a mind of its own. Not bad. I don't like it when it goes that way, so I'm going to trim it this way. And then, like I did on my sample, I'm just going to pop this up. Now this bow is kind of right in my way. So let's move the bow part of it up here, and we'll just put a mini on either end. We could put one in the middle. I have a feeling this might sag if we don't. And I mean, no one's gonna take this out and be looking through the vellum from the inside. If they are, maybe they deserve to see the dimensional. They've worked really hard. Okay, and then we just need a couple little pieces of bling, you think? Now, I know this bundle it's iridescent, but I've used the gold ribbon, and I'm thinking that these gold, like the clear and gold wonderful gems, would be beautiful. The light will pick them up just so. So we'll put 3 of them on there. I love it when there's a whole bunch of gold, but then there's some that are almost like completely clear. Love it. Let's put Now I've put the dimensional right on there, so that ribbon ain't going anywhere. That's some good grammar, isn't it? Let's put this one over here. What do you think? Do you love it? I hope so, I do. It doesn't look entirely like I had planned, but we all know that happens, right? But let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite. Do you love the Peppermint Kisses, the original? Or do you love the May the Sparkle of the Season warm your heart and home? Let me know. Inquiring minds would love to know. I thank you so much for joining me. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. I hope that you will consider subscribing to catch a new video each and every week, as well as a weekly live stream. And I will see you soon, my crafty friends. Bye.